Spawn.
So Counter-Strike Global Offensive is the best version of Counter-Strike ever. The Counter-Strike franchise is 12 years old. Over 25 million people have played it, and this will be the best-looking, best version ever. So, well, we just announced today that we have 2 new game modes. We looked at the community and saw Gun Game was a really popular mod, and we incorporated that inside our game ourselves. And then the Gun Game guys are actually helping us with it. So you're going to be able to play Gun Game. We have Demolition Mode, and also Arms Race. And Arms Race is the cycle through the weapons. Every time you make a kill, you get a new weapon, and then you end with the knife round. So it's a lot of that kind of thing of us looking at the community and seeing what they did. We shortened the game rounds because that's what the community was doing. We simplified the models on each map so that you can make clearer distinctions of identification. We fixed some maps that we saw people were playing less, like Dust and Aztec. So it's a lot of looking at the past 12 years of, you know, the Counter-Strike community and taking our cues from there. There's seven maps. Dust 2. Oh god, you're gonna now Aztec. You put me on the spot. I'm gonna blank out here, so I'm gonna stop there. But like, so Aztec's a fun map, but it had some problems with it that we saw people weren't playing it competitively anymore. So we wanted to make those changes. So we moved around where spawns are. We removed things like the lightning on the bridge when the T's cross, just to make them more competitive for both sides. So we have a real issue with looking at those maps, making sure the balance is there. And so there's a total of 7 of those, and then we also have 8 maps that are in the Arsenal mode. Yeah, so Arsenal mode's filled with new maps, and so you'll get to see. Well, actually, there's a couple classics there as well, but you'll get to see some things like Bank is a fun one, Safe House, and the Arsenal mode is really about quick engagement. So almost always you can't see the enemy directly, but if you walk down one of the lanes, you can see them directly. So it's really quick clashes and really quick action. In that case, those are smaller maps. We also have some other maps which are larger, like Dust 2 is a larger map, which lets people kind of have some more strategic choices as they're going along. And so that's actually, it was funny, as we had some Counter-Strike Source pros come into the office, and we asked them for feedback on the guns, and they gave us feedback on 4 guns, and only 4 guns. And we're like, okay, here's the thing, you're not allowed to use those 4 guns, try some of the other guns. Because we've actually modified how the guns work so that there's other choices you can be making along the way. So we wanted to expand the strategy choices you have, and so you find out that some machine guns are a viable choice, and you should use them. And they started really liking some of them. So we wanted to expand that. We also added some new weapons as well. So we have some tactical choices, like you'll see the Molotov, where early players when they first see it want to throw it at the person, but really it's not. It's an area of effect. You don't want to try to kill the person. What you want to try to do is limit someone's access to a choke point so that you can focus your attention somewhere else. Yeah, and so, Counter-Strike's a different kind of game. It's very fast-paced. It's very quick. And so we wanted to make sure we kept that. We thought about that, and then we looked at what that would do and how it would slow down the pace of the game, and it didn't seem to fit it. If it did fit it, we would do it. But, we wanted to remain true to what Counter-Strike is. And, on the PC, it's the #1 tactical shooter. There's a bunch of other games that have come and gone. And there's a reason for that. It's that fast-paced action. It's the tactical choices you get to make while you're playing. We wanted to retain that. Well, so we're going to come out on, we're downloadable on XBLA, PSN, and Steam will be PC and Mac. We're looking at doing crossplay, but really it's going to be the community that'll help us drive that. Some of that's just the feedback we're going to get during the beta, the extended beta, as well as we want to make sure that one platform doesn't hamstring the other, so we have to make sure we have to be able to update in a timely fashion. And so, one of the things we're just going to explore while we're doing the beta is what does that look like? How would that impact the cross-platform play? You bring hardcore players to the game by making the best possible game you can. So one of the things we looked at going back was making sure that we didn't clamp down the skill ceiling. So, because what will happen is if you're a really good player, there needs to be some nuances where you can explore and be better than everybody else. And so, in CSS, we may have clamped that down a little too low. And so for CSGO, we took the feedback from the community and from the pro players of expanding that and having this higher skill ceiling. And so a lot of times you can't do that in a game because what will happen is if you expand that higher skill ceiling, when they're playing with other players, they're just going to destroy them because they know those intricacies. But with skill-based matchmaking, you're always going to be playing against somebody of your skill. So if you're super great and you know all those nuances, you're going to be playing against somebody else who knows all those nuances. And if you don't know those, if you're learning the game, if you're new to the game, you'll be playing with other people who are similar skill of you. Yeah. I say more wall banging was an interesting thing that we wanted to do. Partly that comes from Left 4 Dead and the boomer. There's a great fun popping a boomer behind a wall. And the flashbang was making sure that that behaved. We thought with the 1.6 probably did that better. And some of that was in Counter-Strike Source, having to support different levels, DX levels on the PC, means we have problems giving everybody the same experience. So for Counter-Strike Go, we want to make sure everybody has the same experience. There's none of that running down in some crazy low DX level just to get some kind of advantage. Everybody's going to have the same thing. Everyone's going to be looking at the same game. The advantage is to play it where it actually looks good, it's fun, and it'll be the same competitively. Yeah, so we want to make sure that we have the same level of mod support that Counter-Strike Source currently enjoys. There's a lot of there's cool things and weird things like surfing and all of that. We want to make sure that that exists. I mean, obviously when we look to the community and we saw a gun game being so popular, there's real value in making sure that there's a system in place for that to exist. And so the same thing will happen with CSGO. And in fact, we're sort of already talking to some of the mod makers from CSS and 1.6 to see what they want to do in our space now. So it was this weird thing happening. Is we thought, well, we're gonna make Counter-Strike Source and make a port of it to the 360, and for XBLA download, and it'll be kind of like a nostalgia thing, right? And we started playing it, and we're like, wow, this is fun. This is a lot of fun. We should make a bigger investment in this because there's some things that we would like to fix or do. But when you have a competitive game like Counter-Strike, the 1.6 community and the CSS community both have a game that they're very used to, that they understand the rule set, they understand the nuances, and so if you start experimenting and changing that too much, you've kind of broken it for them. So we wanted a new version where we can do a lot of the other experimentation and the other changes, and some of that you'll see as we do the beta coming out in October, where we'll take the community feedback and work through that and be able to make changes based on that, where we didn't want to disrupt the game that was there already in those other two products. We're going to see what the release date is, and the reason for that is because as we're working through the beta, that's going to drive the release date. And so, sometimes you hear there's a beta, and it's really just an advertisement as an early release of some part of the game. It's really a demo. This is a real beta. We don't think we're going to ship what we start the beta with, so we're going to let the community tell us when it's ready. And when they tell us it's ready, we'll release it. We're thinking we're pretty close, we're pretty good, and so it'll probably be sometime early 2012.